and welcome back to A Case of Books. Today I'm going to talk through the best books that came out in June, but first a little bit of news and also the reason why this is a little bit late. This year I'm one of the 3 judges for the Costa Children's Prize, which means I have a big pile of books to read for that, which means I'm ever so slightly behind in my everyday reading. But I have got 5 books that are brilliant that came out in June to share with you. So quickly, just to start with, is a new edition of an old book. Chris Riddell has illustrated a new edition of Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere and it is absolutely beautiful. I just want to flag up 2 really great non-fiction titles that I read as well. One, Man Up by Jack Irwin, is a really smart look at masculinity, and the other, Eat, Sweat, Play, is about women's relationships with sport. But on to the first of my official top 5, and this is a book that's had an awful lot of buzz and attention, partly because it got a huge advance when it was first bought in America, and that book is The Girls by Emma Cline. It's a fictionalised version of the 1969 Manson murders in the Manson cult, told from the perspective of a girl looking back as she's older on what drew her into the cult and why she stayed. For me, the book's 2 real main strengths are firstly its dreamy, sinister atmosphere, and secondly how sharp Emma Cline is on what it's like growing up as a girl. The writing is really quite hypnotic at times, and whilst I don't think it's a perfect book, I can really see why people got excited about it. The hazy, dark writing style really reminds me of The Virgin Suicides, and I think you'd also like it if you like books about intense female relationships or cults. Next up is another debut, this time by a British writer, Kit de Wall, and the book is called My Name is Leon. It's a really beautiful, sensitively told story of family and race and adoption and fitting in and finding family. It manages to be, by turn, charming and funny, and then the next page it is heartbreaking and brutal, but all the way through it is really smart, it is really warm, and it really makes you think. That combination of difficult subject matters with a real warmth of telling really reminded me particularly of The Sharp Copper Fall by Nathan Filer, but I think you'd also like it if you liked any of these books. Next up is a gorgeous historical novel about faith, love, science and family, and that is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. It's set in 1893 and it follows a young widow called Cora Seaborn who travels to Colchester and encounters these rumours of a mythical serpent. It's a beautifully written and fiercely intelligent look at love and faith and what happens when everything you think you know is questioned. And it's one for fans of very smart, female-led historical fiction. Up next is one of the most charming and lovely books I have read all year, and that is Paradise Lodge by Mina Stivy. It's set in 1980s Leicestershire, and it's the story of 15-year-old Lizzie who kind of accidentally gets a job at this falling down, very eccentric nursing home. And basically it's the story of the time that she spends working there. But the joy of it is the way that Stivy writes Lizzie's voice. It is so fresh and warm and funny. It made me laugh out loud at several points, and the amazing, weird people who work there and the relationships that Lizzie builds with them. It's one of those books that I would recommend to basically anyone, regardless of their tastes. If you enjoyed Stivy's debut, which was a collection of her real letters, which has been recently turned into a BBC TV show, then you'll definitely enjoy this. My last pick for June is a book that I absolutely fell in love with, and I feel pretty confident saying that it's going to crop up on my best of the year list. It's The Muse by Jessie Burton, which of course is a book that has a lot of attention because her debut, The Miniaturist, was so successful. Now, I really enjoyed The Miniaturist, but I didn't adore it, but this is just something else. It capitalises on all the potential that was in The Miniaturist and then some. The settings, which are 1960s London and 1930s Spain, are so beautifully conjured that you just feel like you're there. The 4 women at the centre of the story are all beautifully and distinctly drawn, and I loved all of them. Then what really tipped it over into something really special for me was that it has this whole extra meta layer about art and creativity, and how much knowing who creates something affects your reaction to a piece of art and how much that matters. And then just the whole idea of how do we know how good art is and who gets to decide. For me, it was one of those books that reminds me why I read. The best books are always tough to compare to other things, but I think if you liked any of these, then you might find something to enjoy here. So those are my June favourites. I'd love to know if you've read any of them and what you made of them. Now, because of my Costa reading and because it's already nearly the end of July, I'm probably going to do a summer reading roundup rather than distinct July and August videos, but I will be back very soon. Here are some other places you can find me, and please remember to like and subscribe.